Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. Let's talk. Thank you for being here today. Take a deep breath in and out. Today, we are going to talk about something that quietly shapes almost everything that we think, everything that we feel. So, I'm talking about the ego. But I don't want to talk about the ego specifically in a casual sense, like the ego of being arrogant, but the ego on the psychological aspect of that. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking about the ego that compares, that reacts, that protects, the ego that fears, that divides, and constantly shouts, "It's me, mine, I, my story." So I'm going to help you recognize that ego and how to detach from it, because it's not a good thing, and how to step into a healthier, freer way of living and way of being. And there is nothing religious here. I don't want this to sound dramatic. I just want you to go on an observation journey together and practice. So, find yourself a comfortable place, settle in, take a deep breath in and out, relax, and let's begin. So I want to start with the first part. What exactly is ego? Most people misunderstand ego, because ego isn't about confidence and is neither about self-love and neither about pride. Ego is a psychological identity that is constructed over your lifetime. So it's basically the story that we tell ourselves about us, about our identity, so about who you are. So how is built? Well, ego is built from childhood, it's built from labels, past experiences, our kind parents, our wants, our hurts. So it's like it accumulates all the fears of not being enough, the approvals that we expected from others, our status, the roles that we play, our achievement, everything that made up our past. And it's not a thing, but it's mostly a mental process. It's a protective mechanism that tries to keep us safe at the end. But here's the catch. The ego is never satisfied. Like never. It always wants more. It fears the loss and it sees life through lenses of threat and comparison. And we all know those lenses are not good to have. The ego will say, I am what I achieve. I am what people think of me. I am what I have. So, it is constantly trying to solidify the sense of ourselves. But deep down, that self is shaky. And the ego knows it pretty well. That's why it's constantly defending itself. The ego is the source of most inner suffering, and today we're going to learn how to release that grip. It doesn't serve us anymore. So let's explore exactly the subtle ways that ego rules us without our awareness. Number 1, the need to be right. Exactly. When disagreement feels like a personal attack, that's ego. 2, taking things personally. When someone else's moods or words or behavior feels like an insult directly to us, that's ego. Number 3, the habit of comparison. Am I better or am I worse than them? Ego thrives on comparison. It's its favorite thing to do. Number 4, feeling offended easily. To be offended, it means that the ego must feel threatened. Number 5, fear of looking foolish. The ego is terrified of mistakes because it believes that mistakes define identity. Number 6, overthinking social interactions. They replay, they analyze, they regret because ego loves the drama. Number 7, the need for validation. If your happiness depends on the approval of others, the ego is in control. Number 8, inability to genuinely listen. When you are preparing your next response, instead of observing what is said, then the ego is speaking louder than the presence. Now, if you recognize yourself in these patterns, don't judge yourself, of course. Awareness is the first step towards freedom. But why exactly do we develop ego? Well, from childhood, the ego served a purpose. It helped you understand the world. It helped you avoid the danger. It gave you a sense of identity, and it helped you get the attention, the love, and the protection. But as adults, the ego becomes outdated. It becomes a survival tool used in situations where survival is not the problem. So the ego then starts to look like a software program which is installed long ago and that was never updated. Now, that updated software is running in the background and it's draining your inner battery. It's hijacking your emotional responses and it's causing unnecessary stress. So, we don't need to kill the ego. We just need to stop letting it drive the vehicle of our lives. The ego claims to make you strong, but is in fact built on fear. And fear of what, actually? Well, let's say fear of not being enough, or fear of being invisible, or fear of being rejected, or fear of being judged, of losing, of failing, and of being ordinary. But the ego's greatest fear is, if I stop identifying with the roles, titles, and achievements, who am I? This fear keeps people locked in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and habits that destroy them. Because the ego clings to familiarity. Now, I want to discuss something else. You existed before your achievements, right? And you will exist even after your failures. But when you understand this, it is the moment where ego starts to lose its power. To weaken the ego, we must be able to catch it the moment it appears. So, here are some powerful questions to ask yourself. Number 1 question is, am I reacting or am I responding? The reaction probably is the ego, while the response is your awareness. Number 2, what part of me feels threatened right now? Often, nothing is real and is threatened only by your image. So, let's move on to number 3. Do I want connection or do I want dominance? Ego wants to win, but your true self wants to understand at a deeper level. Number 4. Is this about truth or about pride? Most of the arguments are between two egos, not between two people. Number 5. Who am I without this story? And this is the most powerful, I would say, question of all. Every time you pause and observe, instead of reacting, the ego starts dissolving little by little. Now, let me move on to some practical steps of how to let your ego go. This is the heart of this beautiful journey that I am taking today in this video. So let's go through these powerful and doable strategies after all. Number 1, practice the pause. Before responding, pause. Just a breath or two. That tiny gap is where the ego loses control. In that pause, your awareness enters. So, practice. In any heated moment, inhale, exhale, and respond from clarity, not from your emotion, like be in control. Number 2, observe your thoughts instead of becoming them. And this is a very interesting thing, which you might think it's impossible, but with practice, everything becomes possible. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices your thoughts. When a thought says, I am not good enough, or they disrespected me, or what will people think of me? You just say, a thought is here. So, the moment that you become the observer, the ego starts losing its throne because you are in control and you thrive on awareness and not on ego. Number 3, stop taking everything personally. This is life-changing for me. It was and will always be. It feels personal, but in reality, in between, there are lots of factors affecting the situation. Their mood is theirs. Their opinion is theirs. Their judgment is theirs. Their reaction is theirs. So people rarely respond to you. They respond to their internal world. So, letting go of personalization will definitely bring you an emotional freedom you are going to love after. Number 4, seek understanding, not victory. When you debate, when you argue, or when you discuss anything, ask yourself, do I want to win or do I want peace? The part of you that wants to win is your ego, but your authentic self wants harmony. Choose understanding. Relationship will deepen and your inner peace will expand and everybody will feel better. Number 5, practice humility. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself or undervaluing yourself. Humility is about putting yourself in other people's place and creating a balanced and harmonious atmosphere. Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. I'll see you next time.